Namaste, and welcome to the Insight UK webinar on the humanitarian aid by Hindu Charities during the ongoing Ukraine crisis. Insight UK is a social movement of British Hindus and Indians. We work on the issues that concern the British Hindu and Indian communities through awareness, advocacy, and campaign. Today's webinar is to raise awareness of the Seva done by Hindus along the Ukrainian border during the ongoing war. Seva is loosely translated as selfless service and is one of the core principles of Hindu Dharma. Today, we are joined by volunteers from BAPS Charities, ISKCON, Godharmic, and Seva Europe, who have all been carrying out Seva over the past few months along the border of Ukraine. Our first speaker will be Rishinji Thakkar of BAPS Charities. Rishinji is from Vienna in Austria and works as a principal engineer. Over to you, Rishinji.
Thank you very much, Miteshji. Jai Swaminarayan. I would like to start by sharing my screen. I will give a short presentation of the services provided by BAPS during the Ukraine humanitarian crisis. I hope my video is visible as well as my screen is visible.
Yes.
Jai Swaminarayan, thank you again for the kind introduction, Miteshji. It is indeed a pleasure and kind of a privilege to be present here and along with other representatives of several Hindu charitable organizations, as well as the esteemed audience participating online through Zoom. I'm very thankful to the organizers of Insight UK for organizing this webinar and giving me an opportunity to present about the humanitarian aid provided by BAPS Charities during the ongoing Ukraine-Russia humanitarian crisis. Well, the volunteers of BAPS Charities served at the Budomierz border between Poland and Ukraine, as well as at the Zeshov shelter, which was organized by the Indian High Commission. So how it all began? It all started with a phone call. It began on 27th Feb when Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Bhai Modi, he himself called Pujya Brahmvihari Das Swami of BAPS. And Pujya Brahmvihari Swami says that when Honorable Prime Minister had called, there was kind of a deep concern, a worry, anguish, and an earnestness in his voice. He wanted to find a solution, and he requested whether we could activate our BAPS volunteers and devotees in Europe and UK to help set up relief camps on the border towns of Ukraine. It is indicative of the trust that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has on BAPS, having witnessed and appreciated the services of BAPS also during earthquake in Gujarat in 2001, to tsunami in the south during floods and famines, as well as recently during the COVID-19 pandemic. This, however, was different, as this was a situation of war, which involves a lot of uncertainties. It involves international borders, it involves evacuation, it involves a lot of governmental procedures. And therefore, without losing time, immediately, while it was a midnight, nearly a midnight in India, it was around 7:38 p.m. in UK, and without losing even a minute, Pujya Brahmvihari Swami, he started to set up a meeting with all the key volunteers of the UK and Europe. The details such as what are the resources that we would need to arrange, how many volunteers can be sent, these things were discussed. And in this meeting itself, on the first day, on the same day when we got a call from Honorable Prime Minister, 9 volunteers, agreed to leave on the same day and reach the facility which was arranged by the Indian High Commission in Pune. Within next few days, 66 volunteers from 11 countries, 2 continents, traveled across borders to reach Poland, Rzeszów, and the bordering area of Budomierz. And if we calculate the number of hours spent traveling only in one direction, it is more than 606 hours of traveling, and more than 89,000 cumulative distance, 89,000 kilometers. That's the distance which these volunteers. As the volunteers started reaching Poland, the area where the services were getting provided was in Rzeszów and at this border, as indicated earlier. So what did we do at Rzeszów? Well, here, all the evacuees who were crossing the border between Ukraine and Poland, they were being brought here. A facility was provided over here. And on the first day itself, while our volunteers were traveling across countries and reaching Poland, some of the volunteers from nearby areas who reached there first were the first responders. And they started meeting the authorities, including Honorable Ambassador Nagma Mohammad Malik, Union Minister of India for Civil Aviation, and retired Army General V.K. Singh, the owner of the hotel Presidency where the students were reaching after crossing the border, and the local community leaders. And things such as what are the areas where special help is needed, these things were discussed. Our volunteers were being allotted for different departments where they can help. And there was also kind of an offer done by BAPS volunteers that we would like to serve, fresh hot meals to all the evacuees who are coming across, crossing the border and reaching after very strenuous and tiring journey. Now this was special, it was difficult because their accommodation was in a hotel, and they have their own caterers, their own kitchen, accessible to the staff only. And therefore, it was difficult for our volunteers to use these facilities and start cooking hot meals over there. But the volunteers were able to convince everyone, and then the hotel staff was also cooperative, and we started to use the facilities over there, and started to cook hot meals for all the evacuees. Well, the arrangement was also made possible because some of our volunteers, led by a volunteer called Chirag Godiwala, who resides in Paris, but he and his team drove more than 21 hours with his mobile kitchen van, and then he reached Rzeszów, started serving hot meals, which included, rajma chawal, chole, dal makhni, including the sweets like son papdi and so on. And with hot meals also provides warmth and comfort after such a long, tiring, and strenuous journey. And that's what our volunteers started providing to all the evacuees who were reaching. As we can see here, these are the BAPS volunteers serving 24 by 7. It was there were a lot of uncertainties. It was not clear when the evacuees will finally reach hotel. There were long queues also at the border. Sometimes we were told that we expect 50 evacuees in 1 hour, and then suddenly the number changes to 500. But the volunteers in the kitchen department, they were always ready, well prepared, and whatever time, some at times the evacuees would come at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. early in the morning, and still our volunteers will be ready to welcome them, to provide them with all the facilities, including serving them hot meals as soon as they arrive. Our team of volunteers also included young IT engineers from several countries, and they also helped the government officials in streamlining the process of registration of students on arrival, with noting down their important information, including the name, date of birth, passport numbers, and so on. And there were many cases of students who could not even collect their passport before leaving the place of residence. And for such students, our volunteers helped along with the cooperation from embassy officials to provide them an emergency travel certificate. Uh, Along with this, as we know that the students, they would cross the border, they would reach the hotel presidency, they would stay there for few hours to sometimes a day before they could board a flight from Poland to India. And our volunteers also made sure that as soon as a batch of students or batch of evacuees, as soon as they leave their hall where they were taking rest, they would clean it up, tidy up, totally change the bed sheets, blankets, and everything in just few minutes to an hour, and make it ready for the next batch of evacuees which would arrive to this hotel. So this was really a very efficient arrangement. And in many of the pictures, you might be able to see the same set of volunteers doing different types of services, as no volunteer tagged themselves to one particular area only, but adjusted to whichever area which needed help and support. And this is how they helped, including minor things. So some of our volunteers realized that these evacuees do not have an active mobile active internet connection, and our volunteers arranged a SIM card with 3 GB of data, so that they can make a call to their family members, make a video call, assure them that they are fine, and also be assured themselves, having feeling the comfort of speaking to their family members. Not only did we serve the evacuee students, but our volunteers also served their pets. Many of the evacuees carried their pets across the border, and our volunteers realized that this would then need a special arrangements, and were quick to make special arrangements and have separate rooms for those who have come with their pets. And we can see many of these pet parents over here in these pictures. A situation like war leads to many psychological effects. Many of the students before leaving Ukraine had seen gunfires, missiles, bombings in their vicinity and during their journey. And many of them were not even sure whether they will make it. And even after crossing the border, many of them were in trauma. And our volunteers consoled them, provided warmth counseling to many of such students. There was, I will quickly, narrate an incident where one student, few minutes past midnight, he just came to us. He was shivering, not speaking a word. And our volunteers looked at him, called him, asked his name. He would not respond, continue to shiver. Our volunteers offered him food and water. He would still not answer, continue to shiver. But our volunteers very patiently continued to speak with him, called the medical staff which were available in the hotel. They were also there. Our volunteers started writing something on a paper and asked him to answer in yes or no. slowly he started responding, and by 5 a.m. in the morning, he was very normal, started to speak with us, started to remember names of some of our volunteers. He also told that he wants to speak with his brother in India. We made a phone call to his brother in India. After speaking with his brother, he was more relaxed, more calm, and our volunteers made sure that this person who is alone has a company throughout the journey, does not feel alone. And he did call us back after reaching India that he feels much better now. And there were many such incidents of students in trauma to whom our volunteers, boys and girls, helped them, provided warmth and support. And these are finally, a warm goodbye to the batch of students. This is the picture in the center is the one of last batch of students who is departing from the facility in Jeshuf, and our volunteers are cheering them up. They stayed there till the last batch of students departed from the hotel. Not only at the accommodation or the at the shelter, but also at the border where our volunteers available to provide help and support to anyone who is crossing the border. As we can see in the picture, there were many, mostly women and children who were crossing the border with their luggage, very tired, and our volunteers will go forward, help them carry their luggage. It was, it was Feb, it was a winter during this time, and our volunteers would provide a warmth, not only, in also literally by by bringing the logs, igniting a small fire pit and providing them warmth to whosoever crosses the border. We also provided them with the food, necessary medical supplies, and also, minor things including toothpaste and toothbrush and so on. Our volunteers here worked in coordination with many other charitable organizations, including some of those who are present in the webinar today. We will hear their stories as well. But this was done with a very close coordination with the government officials, not only Indian government as well as but also the Polish government, and along with many other charitable organizations who came forward during this period of crisis. This service provided by our volunteers was greatly appreciated by all. Many media houses, not only in India, Europe, or UK, but also in US, appreciated the services done by the BAPS volunteers. Did make a note of it. The spirit of, especially our spirit of service with spirituality and volunteerism, that was largely appreciated worldwide, as we can see in some of the pictures here. Later on, Honorable Prime, after the conclusion of Operation Ganga, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also appreciated all the organizations who came forward and provided their services during this period, and also thanked BAPS Swaminarayan Sanstha, BAPS Charities, who supported during this critical evacuation of Indian nationals. Along with them, as we can see, General VK Singh, he did say once in a TV interview that one unique feature of this entire evacuation exercise was that during this evacuation exercise, they got support from many organizations, including the BAPS, which made their work much easier. Um, I must really say that at the core of all the services provided by the BAPS and its volunteers lies the spirituality. Guru Hari Mahan Sai Maharaj himself had stayed up for hours to guide us, to instruct us, and to inspire us through regular phone calls and Zoom calls. Our source of inspiration has always been Guru Hari Mahan Sai Maharaj and his pure spirituality. It is his prayers and blessings which continue to inspire us and help us. Mahan Sai Maharaj once told us that helping even one life is healing humanity. In serving others wholeheartedly, we are serving God. He continues to inspire us to do such service more and more. He continues to tell us that we should also inspire others to come forward for service, not only others, but also our next generation. And as we can see, this is a page from one of the children's magazine published by BAPS called Bal Prakash, in which the services done by the BAPS volunteers was very nicely highlighted in a way children would understand and appreciate it, and it would also inspire, our next generation to also imbibe these qualities of selfless service with spirituality. With this, I would like to conclude and again thank the organizers of Inside UK. Thank all the other charitable organizations who came forward and provided their innumerable service. Thank Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as well as all the Indian government officials under whose guidance and cooperation BAPS was able to provide its services. And may the words of Pramukh Swami Maharaj, in the joy of others lies our own, continue to inspire us. Thank you and Jai Swaminarayan.
Thank you for that, Rushinji. It was wonderful to hear about the Seva being done by BAPS, even considering the smallest of needs of the evacuees and the refugees. Our next speaker is Dharamdas of Godharmic. Dharamji is the Chief Operating Officer of Godharmic and is the Director of Godharmic in Bharat. Over to you, Dharamji.
Namaskar, Ram Ram everybody. Thanks Niteshji for providing us the opportunity to represent Godharmic's work in Ukraine. This call was supposed to be led by Hanuman Das, the founder chairman of Godharmic. But unfortunately, due to some family urgency, some pre-commitments with the family, he could not join today. So I'm just taking and filling the gap. I'll do my best to showcase the work what we have done during this Ukraine crisis. So allow me just to share my screen. I would like to give the glimpse of the work which we have done. I hope you can see my screen. Can I get a confirmation?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Thank you, Nitesh. So Godharmic, as and a couple of my brothers might know, just the people who don't know about Godharmic, we are based in UK. We have charities in UK, US, and India. We are dedicated for environment campaigns, education, and disaster. Godharmic UK is always committed for love all, feed all, serve all slogan. And the mantra which was given by Neem Karoli Maharaj from Uttarakhand, a saint, which give the knowledge and wisdom that everyone is one, everybody is one, sab ek hai. So that was the foundation of Godharmic. As Ukraine crisis had, Godharmic always believe to help people in a crisis. Ukraine crisis, we were very much active on COVID. Before that, we were into the flood-prone areas in India, cyclone-hit areas, cloud-burst area in Uttarakhand. So we have a good history of serving people in disaster-prone areas, especially in India. But as previously mentioned by my brother from BAPS, that that was a new kind of call to serve people in a different country, different region. We started this campaign after the crisis hit Ukraine. People started migrating to various countries. So we would like to show you the areas where we supported. We not only supported in Kyiv, the war-prone area, but also in Poland, where so many people was coming from the border, across border, and also in Romania. These are the cities like Siret, Medica, Krakow, and Yelena Gora, where we supported many campaigns in that region. Especially in this area, we actively supported people around the area. So these are the responses which we did in Kyiv initially. We started our first campaign in Kyiv. We have base in a couple of volunteers actually based in Kyiv. when this crisis hit, we channelize and mobilize our local volunteers in key areas, especially just to provide support as many as people can be benefited for that. Initially, we started with 600 hot meals. Then, when situation is started grim and really, difficult to provide hot meals to the people, we grow our base from 16 to 17 volunteers and started providing meals around 1,000 meals per day. And by that number, we actually provided these support for more than 1.5 months. Around 45,000 hot meals was served in that area, especially. On that Medica Poland border, that was a situation of many people was started coming there from the crossing the border, risking their life. We set up a camp there to support as much as possible. There were so many charities already working towards support these people. We set up a camp to provide as fruits, nuts, as much all the supplies which can be provided. By that, in calculations, we supported more than provided more than 25,000 kgs of fresh fruits to the people and needy coming across from the border. We were also in the Ukraine, we were covered by the GB News. Our volunteer Martin Dover, he was from Scotland, travel all the way to Krakow to provide relief materials to the people in Poland. These are the Yelena Gora. This is actually a different kind of campaign which we supported with the collaboration of Convivo. We were actually getting so many requests of various kind of support, especially the accommodation. Many charities were providing the relief aids, but it was difficult to provide the accommodation at least for 2 to 3 months for the people who were stuck in that area. So Godharmic collaborated with Convivo. We provided more accommodation of 25 beneficiaries for more than 2 months. With all kind of support, food, and all kind of necessity was taken care by Godharmic and the collaborative charity Convivo in that area. On CRET Romania, again, we collaborated with Barnet Youth Foundation to provide as much as possible and support the communication devices and other kind of materials, sanitaries, diapers, and whatever we can arrange in that areas, in CRET area. We collaborated with these people, and with the help of local volunteers, Godharmic volunteers, we successfully provided the relief aids. Also, the traveling arrangements also been made by Godharmic in that area. So these are the glimpse of the rations, not rations, I mean the relief materials which we provided at Medica border and other various locations. Of course, these are very small kind of glimpse of Godharmic's work. But Godharmic always believe the love all, feed all, serve all mantra, which we always do. Apart from this, we is still providing the accommodation support in that area. Also, we are working on various other campaigns to support Ukraine refugees coming to the UK, especially. Hope so all our brothers and sisters from Hindu society will come forward and provide as much as support to the struggling families and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Dharamji. Amazing seva being done by Godharmic and providing over 1,000 hot meals per day and other daily necessities is certainly not easy. Our next speaker is Godharmika Prema Dasji of ISKCON. Godharmika ji is from Budapest in Hungary, and she is the Chief Communications Officer in ISKCON, of ISKCON in Hungary. Gandharvika ji will be followed by Sanjay ji Gadvi, who represents ISKCON in the UK. Over to you, Gandharvika ji.
Thank you. Namaste, Hare Krishna. So this is a short report about the activities of ISKCON Hungary in regards to the Ukrainian crisis. I hope my presentation is visible now. If you could please give me a feedback. Okay. So our crisis management focused mainly on 4 areas, namely food for refugees, Operation Ganga, helping in Ukraine, and shelter for refugees. In addition to keeping up the everyday distribution of food, our Hare Krishna Food for Life program is always ready to help in disaster situations to feed the masses of people. So right after the war started, our devotees contacted the relevant government agencies and other charities for cooperation. And from the first days, ISKCON Hungary was right there at the eastern borders and assisted those displaced by the conflict by distributing food for them. There were 6,230 Indian citizens, most of whom were students, just as Rushin said, who were evacuated from Ukraine to India through Hungary. So we worked closely with the Indian embassy and the Indian government so that we can cater all these people. So parallel to our activities at the border, we distributed more than 6,000 plates of warm meal of traditional vegetarian Indian preparations for these refugees. The live video that I made at the airport during food distribution on the first day went viral actually all over India, and you might have seen it too. We got a lot of appreciative response, not only from general people, but also from Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji at a Zoom meeting that he held. So after Operation Ganga finished, there was a slight change in our strategy because more and more refugees arrived to Budapest, the capital, and most of them hadn't been able to get any hot meal for days. So we started food distribution directly at the train stations. Also, there were several places where the government or different local governments started hosting refugees, and we worked closely with them to provide hot food within these particular shelters all over the city. This little girl you see next to me, she just melted my heart, by the way. So from the 4th week, the strategy again changed a little because less and less refugees started coming. So we took the risk of delivering long-lasting foodstuffs directly across the border into Ukraine for the local Hare Krishna devotees. Because our ISKCON devotees in Ukraine also organize mass food distributions every day throughout the whole country. And since prices are getting higher there, they mostly ask us to support them with raw foodstuffs like bean, buckwheat, millet, spices, and so on, so that they can cook for the local people right there within their country. So in total, we have distributed over 30,000 plates of hot meal since the beginning of the crisis and delivered more than 40 tons of raw material to Ukraine so far. We also focus on hosting refugees within our centers, mostly followers of Hinduism. And we provide assistance with transportation, clothing, food, healthcare. We also help with refugee status registration, banking issues, communications, and the kids can attend our school and the kindergarten as well. So we have altogether 140 people, mainly mothers with kids, to cross the country. And we are still hosting 44 refugees in our centers to date. So although things have been changing all the time, we make a really large effort to cater and help all the refugees in need. And we work tirelessly, sometimes literally day and night, to help these people. Hungarian ISKCON devotees and ISKCON devotees actually all over the world also organized peace meditations, and we continuously pray for our fellow human beings and for the peaceful resolution of the present situation as soon as possible. So I would like to extend our thanks, appreciation, and gratitude to our kind friends and supporters. And thank you so much for your attention, and thank Insight UK for organizing this very inspiring webinar. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for that, Gandharvikaji. I will now pass on to Sanjayji, Sanjayji Gaddavi, who represents ISKCON within the UK. Sanjayji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Following on from what Gandharika just mentioned about the Hungary, similar operation was taking place at the same time in Poland. And the devotees there had organized a small mobile kitchen, and another mobile kitchen was sent from the UK from our Food for All program, which has actually been running for now excess of 40 years, serving prasad or hot plates of meals daily in London. Today, we are still continuing to serve 1,000 meals every day without fail for 40 years. That's still continuing. So for us, distribution of prasad has been an ongoing thing. And so we were able to galvanize teams in various different locations to set up these mobile kitchens in places. Poland, Slovakia had a small facility also serving, but there wasn't many refugees coming through there. In addition to the devotees, in addition to the refugees coming, there were the devotees who were living in Ukraine. They were coming through. Many of them, as Gandharika said, went through Hungary, but many also went through Poland. For them, we organized sponsors in the UK. Some of them wanted to come to UK. Some of them have settled in Germany for the time being. So we've organized them to be housed in various different ISKCON centers in Poland, in Germany, in Spain, in Italy, and in France and Belgium. There are many of these devotees being housed there presently whilst they figure out where to go for a long-term settlement. There are some who are being sponsored to come to the UK, and I think many of the people in the UK are aware of the delays in getting the paperwork sorted out, but that is going ahead. There's a lot of devotees who are wishing to come and settle in the UK. One of the airlines was very generous, Wizz Air, which has been providing free air transportation to any refugee within Europe. So many refugees were able to take advantage of that to travel to various different centers around Europe. We continue even today with the serving of the meals in Poland and in various different centers. The support is still going on. I think that's pretty much covers from our side for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjayji. And once again, thank you, Gandharvikaji. Great seva being done by ISKCON, especially helping in the evacuation of over 6,000 students, as well as crossing, taking the risks to cross the border to provide necessary meals and other essentials. And as we heard from Sanjay, a lot of the Seva work being done in Europe, as well as here in the UK, in London, over the past 40 years. Our next speaker is Heramji Kulkarni of Seva Europe. Heramji is from Finland and is the current president of Seva International Europe. Over to you, Heramji.
Namaste. On behalf of Seva International Europe and my entire team, I heartily thank you for the Insight UK for organizing this webinar, and as well as our fellow organizations who are contributing to the noble cause. As a part of this crisis altogether, the main role of Seva here was at the 3 levels, and in the next 10 minutes, along with my colleague Nilesh, who will be speaking after me, maybe I will create a glimpse of what exactly has been done by Seva International Europe in this entire perspective of the Ukraine crisis altogether. So we at Seva International, we are one of the charity which is spread across Europe, and we mainly work with the pandemic support during COVID-19, wartime support and natural calamities, as well as during the peacetime support. We support the various initiatives of the Seva. We work with our partner organization across Europe, Africa, UK, USA, and Caribbean, and Bharat, India. The main objective of the Seva Europe is to work with the various Hindus as well as other organizations across multiple countries, irrespective of their passport color, and to promote the volunteerism. That's the main objective of selfless service. On the day when 24th February, once the war or the crisis started, actually, our Karyakartas based in Ukraine, with the HSS Ukraine, started initially communicating with various families as well as students. We realized that the crisis is going to deepen, and just within 24 hours, we could be able to set up our first e-helpline with the WhatsApp message, how we can be able to support the students in giving right information at right time in the chaos or chaotic thing. So we found that the students are locked in bunkers. They were traveling from the eastern part of Ukraine towards the western part, and they were kind of in a panic at this point. The panic point was mainly because of the misinformation, lack of information, and chaos. Now, how to make this possible? So we set up our e-helpline. We had got our earlier experience from the COVID second wave during 2021, and we had around 350 strong volunteers who had the earlier experience of the setting up the e-helpline. So with that experience, with our initial on 24th February, we had 4 volunteers. We could scale up in next 4 days up to 350 volunteers who could be able to create an online helpline. This helpline made sure that all the information which is we are providing to the students who are in distress, they are from India, they are from Africa, they are from various countries. So we supported more than 15,000 students across different nationalities in providing right information at right time. The most important part is that along with this e-helpline, the second level of support, we understood that, okay, we have to provide the border Seva. For that, our team of volunteers went to the Hungary border of Ukraine side, Poland border, as well as Romanian border. And at 3 borders, we provide the support where we could set up our basic initial tents as well as marquees. And through that, we could be able to provide basic necessities for the refugees who are coming out of the Ukraine. And as well as the third level of support where our Karyakartas, our volunteers who are stationed already in Ukraine, they could be able to arrange the transportations as well as they could be able to provide the basic support of the accommodation at the venue itself across most of the cities which were on the western part of the Ukraine. But the more critical part that once we understood the scale of this entire project, we realized that, okay, we need to distribute our work into various zones. So we divided the entire Ukraine support team into 18 different zones, and we created a separate WhatsApp group across Kyiv, Kharkiv, Sumy, Donetsk, or from Dnipro. These are the areas through which we could be able to find, mainly Odessa. These are the areas through which we found that there is a maximum students needs to be evacuated, as well as some families needs to be supported. Now, while doing this part, we understood that the right information is required, how they can be able to move. There is a pretty much of panic because of the ongoing war. At the same time, there was a problem in the first 6 days about how long this will go. So we created a simple mechanism through which we understood that, okay, which are the borders are available. At the borders, the waiting time was from 1 day to 4 days, and the temperature was up to -3 degrees. So they have to wait for a long time, the students as well as the families. So what we planned, that how they can be able to travel from the eastern part of the countries to western part, and then they can be able to move across the border, or even through the southern part, through Moldova or through the Romania. While doing this, we also realized that how we can be able to help them not only after crossing the border, but before the border crossing. So our team in Ukraine provided the basic transportation of the buses, as well as the train support, where they could be able to help them to find the right train at right time. For first 6 to 7 days, the trains were paid. They had to pay the fees, train tickets, but after 7th day, the Ukrainian government made all the trains free. But then the traffic started building up. So I think the most important part was providing this support. Then we realized that, okay, now the things were going quite as on need basis. But then we realized that, okay, we need to arrange our organization of our work in the 5 steps of collect, organize, move, guide, and assist. For that, we realized the helpline along with the movement support and along with the guiding at the border, and then assisting and creating the marquees at the various borders. That's the key part for that. Now, I think question is that, okay, that maybe from the news, many of the times we say that the war is over, but in practice, it is already on, but it is still a dire thing. We all know that. Now the Seva Europe work is already going on across different borders, but more importantly, within the Europe, with the crisis going on. We helped various organizations, not only from India, but also from other countries. More than another 2,000 students from African countries were needed support as a part of this evacuation, and as well as lateral support of the refugees. Our team was on the ground as well as at the borders. And while doing this entire process, we realized that the connecting our strength of our organization is creating samparka, or creating the connect at the human level. So that's the one. And that gave us an opportunity to also work with various governments, embassies, mainly with the African part, where the ambassador of Nigeria reaches out to Seva International Europe to seek help of evacuating more than 700 students which were stuck in the Sumy, which is on the northeastern part of the Ukraine. So these 3 parts were made. So we have directly supported more than 12,000 students evacuation, more than 6,000 helpline requests, and across 35,000 stranded people assisted, and across more than 350 volunteers helped in this entire process. Immediately, the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Africa, as well as from the various countries, including Bharat ministries, were kind enough to give the clear thank you message to us. And along with that, our team is already working at the base camp at the Medica, as well as we have ongoing support with more than another 200 volunteers who are providing the border support, which we are right now working, not only on the Poland side, but also on the Ukraine side of the border, what our team is working on. We were really fortunate to get the basic information covered at the initial level, where our team could be able to communicate with the media. But I think the most important part was how we can be able to get it with our appreciation from Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji. So this is our overall work on which we have been able to work on this entire process. And the basic idea of promoting volunteerism, where all the Karyakartas and volunteers across the Europe got connected together again to give the support to Ukrainian bandhavs and brothers and sisters for this entire process. So this was the oral part. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Namaste.
Thank you for that, Hiramji. Again, some really good seva being done, from setting up the e-helpline and providing support to those in distress, being on the ground at various points along the border and arranging the necessary logistics to ensure seva can be provided with the concept of collect, organize, move, guide, and assist. So thank you for that. I would now like to invite Nilesh Solanki to speak about Seva UK and give some final thoughts. Nilesh is from London and is the Assistant General Secretary of Seva UK. He has been instrumental in launching the India COVID appeal and supporting the voluntary program for Ukraine. Over to you, Nilesh.
Namaste, Sabiko. Hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah.
Namaste, thank you, Insight UK, for this opportunity to share and collaborate with such profound organizations that we have been working with on many disasters in the world that we're seeing. As Hiramji mentioned about Seva International and its sort of global outreach within 25 countries around the world, we've got grassroots sort of operations which allows us to respond to these types of calamities, disasters, or something that we haven't experienced and hopefully won't experience in our lifetime again on a war footing. And it's important that we understand and really appreciate how communities come together. And the sort of theme of what I would like to express today, and been asked to say a few words, just summarizing what we've just been presented with, is the power of collaboration, the power of community. And when going on to sort of various disaster management conferences, it was said in those conferences that the first responders to any disaster or any calamity is our NGOs and CSOs, civil society organizations. And this shows the power of community. And it's so beautiful to see that organizations like ourselves have come to the fore and just supported calamities that have happened in the world. This has started way back with many organizations that are represented here and many others back in the 2000 when the Gujarat earthquake happened. You know, we, Seva UK were fortunate to raise 3.1 million pounds or whatever, but with the harnessing of the community and backing that, and that collaboration has continued over the times. That happened again in COVID, second wave, like Hiramji mentioned, and so many communities got together, and we were happy to bring together Godharmic, British Asian Trust, BAPS, Art of Living, International Association for Human Values, which is part of the Art of Living Foundation, E-Global Doctors, and Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh. So these are some of the organizations that came together to do what? To collaborate, to share information, and to share intel. It's really important in such calamities. You're going to get information firing from us in different directions. And how do we manage that? And we collaborated, especially for COVID, in how to give sort of suppliers, oxygen concentrators, where are we buying it from? We were sharing our shipping costs and shipping logistics to Bharat as well. And then all this came to the fore again during this Ukraine crisis. Godharmic and Seva UK were collaborating together on volunteers. We had our marquees next to each other at the Poland-Medica border. And it was great to see that some days it's hard. We're all volunteers. Some days there aren't volunteers to man the marquees to give out fruit or give out essentials to the refugees. So we would just share resources and say, look, we're not here today. Can you help us out? And that level of collaboration was beautiful to see. So it's really important that we continue this collaborative approach And we came into a disaster which we could never imagine, in a war footing, crossing borders on a personal level, going onto the Ukraine side and seeing that on the Western side, we're close to the Poland border, it was all calm. But we were seeing the real tragedies of families, males, brothers, and the senior males of the family, bringing the women and the children to the border with all their bags and then departing. And seeing that fear, seeing that uncertainty on those families, on those women, on those mothers, on those grandmothers' faces, that where am I going to go next? What is going to happen to me? And also seeing the responsibility and the weight and the burden of those young sons and children taking that responsibility on, that now I have to step up and support my family. We saw that while children and families were walking through the Medica Pass, where all the marquees were lined up on both sides. And it just breaks your heart to think that, where are these people going? All we could do is give them moral support. Everything will be fine. We had language barriers. How did we overcome those? Embracing technology. It was beautiful to just have a conversation over Google Translate. And these are the sorts of things where, as a community, we can be agile, we can be innovative, and we can collaborate together. And it was bringing our philosophy and our values, and all of our charities that we've presented today have come from our dharmic and our philosophy and our Hindu values. And I think it's important that we share those across the globe, no matter what calamity happens and who we're dealing with. The person that needs that seva, where they come from, who they are, doesn't matter. They are a divine spirit that we see. And that is where we say our karya is Ishvari karya, and we see divinity in all. And that philosophy transcended in everything that we did, because we weren't serving our own people, we were serving humanity. And I think that's quite key. So it's really lovely to see this spirit of Seva Bhav that we all embraced as these organizations, and all the wonderful volunteers from UK, Europe, and around the world. And there were actually some people we were talking to from other parts of the world. How did you get here? Oh, we were on holiday. We heard about the crisis. We just wanted to go and help. That human spirit is really important, where religion and everything, culture, goes to one side. But that philosophy of seeing that divinity in others, that I'm just going to help my fellow human being, my fellow brother and sister, is quite profound. And it was nice to sort of help this grandmother who couldn't speak any English. She was just picking lots of different things from different places, fruit and toothbrushes and all of that sort of thing. And all we could do is put my arm around her, and she put her head on my chest and she smiled. And actually, I just conversed in Gujarati and said, "Badus saru thai jaise, everything will be fine. Sab acha ho jayega." And she understood that spirit, and she smiled, and that was like a thank you for your support. If we can do that and share these values, these universal values, in anything that happens in this world, we will change the face and the mindsets of many, and hopefully break these barriers and conflict that we are facing in the world. So it's beautiful to see that all of us have given our tan, man, and dhan in various forms. And doing seva is not just about money, it's about going out and serving. How can we and all these organizations today have actually created opportunities for the next generation, for this generation, for the youth to just serve, and the power of serving. And if we can continue to create these opportunities, and we're doing some profound work in all of our organizations, let us continue to come together and serve humanity like we have. Namaskar.
Thank you for those inspiring words, Nileshji. And as mentioned in the opening, Seva is an integral part of our Dharma. And it has truly been an amazing response from Hindus, whether as individuals or as organizations. And it is up to us to spread those dharmic values to help us develop and transform this world into a more peaceful and harmonious world. This brings us to the end of the webinar. We would like to thank all the charities and the speakers, from Rushinji of BAPS, Dharamji of Godharmic, Gandharvikaji and Sanjayji of ISKCON, and Hiramji of Seva Europe, and Nileshji of Seva UK, and for the final thoughts. And of course, you, the audience, for joining us. Don't forget to visit us at insightuk.org and follow us on social media. Namaste.